Welcome, this is a review on the Hot Blast 1557M by Technolocost. Right now you're looking at the Hot Blast 1577M that's been installed in my home. I've been using it for a couple months now. Propane prices out here in the country, in Ohio, the States, is absolutely ridiculous. It's traded like commodities, so pretty much when gas prices go up, it goes up. It's very plentiful, there's no reason for it, but yeah, they make a lot of money on that, and I'm tired of paying it. So for the price of just paying one of my gas bills, I bought this device. This is the again, the Hot Blast 1577M. I bought this at Tractor Supply. You can buy this at other places. Just look online. There's actually plenty of places you can buy this. Apologize for the autofocus. I'm using low light. Anyway, right now I just fired this up. My home was about 63 degrees. Typically when I fire this up, it takes about an hour to get it back up to about 70, 71, which is about comfortable. It's about where we like it. Let me give you a little show here. Basically, that's a locking lever that comes with this. Mine locks up very tight. If yours doesn't and it's wobbly, go ahead and tighten these screws. That's really all it needs. You can just adjust them. Don't tighten them too hard. You can just totally bust them off, but they are pretty rugged. Again, just tighten the screws up, and you can change the tension on this to where it's a super locked tight. One of the main reasons I made this review is because I found some stuff online, which is great, but it didn't answer all my questions. So I'm doing this review as a total noob, like you've never seen a wood burning stove in your life, because I never did, and I hope this is useful for you guys and gals. And that's of course the door. That's a fire. Basically, it's almost like a V shape. There's bricks in there that keep this warm, that help radiate the heat into the pig iron. It's definitely pig iron. It's huge, thick, metal box, just like any wood stove, but it's wrapped in sheet metal. That's all weird, but anyway, you want to stack it in there, get it set up, get some hot coals going, and then you can stack your wood on top of it, and then you want to damper this thing down to where it's just the coals are burning the wood, and it's a slow thing, because once you're burning in your core burn zone there, you will just want to keep it there, and you'll slowly, gradually heat your house. This is the bottom portion of the Hot Blast. This is what's called a dampener too. When you're burning coal, this is super important because coal primarily burns from the bottom up. But when you start your fire, say like a wood fire, what I'm doing here is I open this bad boy all the way up, get that going real good. I crank this up to high, and I use this as a little peeky hole. You can see in there that there's fire. It's going pretty good. You keep your eye on it. It's locked up. Alright, we're in the burn zone, and actually this is a $14 little magnetic module you can get at a hardware store locally, like Ace, Home Depot, Lowe's, or any local hardware store that probably still exists, maybe, if there's any left. But this thing kicks on about there. Anywhere from about 100, 150 to 200. It kicks on, and then it runs. And the fans run. And basically blows hot air that's captured between the space between the metal and the sheet metal, and it's blown up and out. I'll show you that in a minute. So now that I'm in the burn zone, what I typically do is I wait till it gets about half, right? And then what I'll do is I'll damper this down, because eventually your home will get about 70 degrees, and you're like, okay, I'm pretty good with that. You want to keep heat coming in because it's freezing outside, right? But you don't want to make your house 90 degrees. So you damper this down. I'm using the lever. this is a mechanical type thing. You know, don't expect a super awesome. You know, you kind of got to pull it, push it. And if you look at it, there's no other way you really could do it. So I don't blame them. But this is going to be really hard to see through this. But basically, I dampen that down. I close that all the way up. I open it just a hair, so there's a little bit of oxygen flowing through the bottom, and I run that fire to where there's just barely any fire going on. What that do? Basically, that makes sure that the fire burns clean and even. I've got a nice hot bed in there. It maintains the burn zone. Continuously keeps the fans going and trickles heat into my air ducts. Alright, let me give you some technical specifications on this device, which again, people don't go over and it bug the heck out of me. 8-inch, 6-inch. So the exhaust portion of the device is 6-inch. So when you buy your stuff or think about buying it or looking at it online, that's 6-inch. These are 8-inch. Where do you put it? Does it go in the main? Does it go into your main ducts? Does it go into your return ducts? I chose the main ducts. This is the center of my house. It's a ranch style home. So this is actually the technical center. So I drove them right into the center. And I adjust the vents upstairs accordingly. Like the living room, I open them wide open because that's where me and my wife spend most of our time. And the rest of them, I dampen them down. So most of the heat trickles out to the living room. Now don't expect these fans to blow like your normal furnace fan would. Alright, these two fans do a great job. Like I said, they kick on once the temperature gauge that you install on the device, which is right there. Actually, it's right up there. Anyway, they do a good job blowing the air through, but they're not like huge industrial fans. I mean, you're not going to get the pressure you normally would through your normal furnace. You can, and this comes with an actual box to build onto these, which connects to your return duct. And what you do is you take, you pipe out to your return duct, and basically as these run, the air that they're sucking in is from the return duct, which pulls the air from upstairs in your home or wherever it may be, pulls the ambient air into it, which might also be warm, recycles it, pushes it through the device and back up and out into your main. That's technically what you can do. I chose not to. My home is tiny. It's about 1,500 square feet upstairs, and I have a finished basement which might make it 2,200 square feet max. That's what I'm heating. It does great. I have no problems with it at all. These fans trickle the heat in, like I said, and heat rises, so it comes out of the vent and it goes up. Now, occasionally, if you need some hot, super heat, and you want to pull the air out of your ducts, you can also choose to kick on your furnace fan. If you run this through your main, like I do, when you kick on your fan to your furnace, you turn it on, and your furnace says, "Hey, I'm just going to circulate the air that's in your home." So what it does is it circulates the air, and what it does in my case is when this hot air is sitting in the vents, it pulls it out, pushes it up with a lot of gust. So I do that sometimes for like a minute or two, turn it off. What I've installed on these are flaps you can get. They're about like $30, and they're one way. Oh, I forget the technical term. Again, I'm not an expert at this stuff. I just kind of figured it out. They're like flaps, so where air is one way, so it can travel this way out, but when air comes from the main furnace, which is there, comes through and it tries to blow through, it stops and it can't blow back through, which actually might not be a big deal, but I didn't want that to happen, so I put those in. I put them in the elbows of the those ducts right there. Again, this is ugly Frankenstein stuff. If I was an expert, I probably could have done a better job, but I just did it over several weekends this summer, and kept making trips to Home Depot. Used the hacksaw a couple times. I taped up all the joints. Figured, why not? Let's keep every piece of hot air that comes out of this device. All right, this is recommended by the install instructions. This is a barometric regulator. So what happens here is, say if the furnace is really burning really good, and it's sucking a lot of air in the front, a lot of oxygen, burning it, creating lots of CO2, blowing it out the back, right? That's your exhaust. Well, anytime this thing gets a little, well, it needs a little bit more, your barometric regulator can suck more air in. So it actually will move and regulate itself automatically. There's actually a weight right there that you can adjust and get it just right. So it's a way to basically, it's a safety device, really. It really helps out, and it can cool your exhaust down when it gets overtaxed. And by cooling the exhaust down, it can save your chimney some stress and your pipes. So anyway, this is some corrugated type of metal stuff, you know, roof metal. It was like $30 at one of the hardware stores. It matched the Hot Blast, and what I use it for is right there I have some sensitive things like wires and the actual tube from my well. So what this does is it prevents the heat from the exhaust transferring to those wires. So I'm just mentioning this because, you know, when you might be in this situation where you're like, you know, I've got this thing installed, but my exhaust is just super hot and I want to keep it protected. Well, just layer that in there. It does an amazing job. Behind there, totally cold. So, no stress. Okay, you can see this. I dampened this thing down. How the burn zone's like way down there. And the fan's just kicked off. Well, look at that. My temperature setting is low, and this bad boy is cranked all the way down. And if we look inside, you see barely a fire. So this isn't that hot. So because it's not so hot, it's not gonna you know, take the hot air and blow it out through the vents here. So what you do is, in this case, I'm going to crank it open. And you can see now it's getting more oxygen. It's going to actually start to pull more air. Yeah, you can see the fires are kicking off in there. Doesn't take much. And then that'll kick back on. Alright. Let's talk about the fans one more time. I put these filters on. These are vent filters you can get for a normal vent for your home. And I just chuck them off and throw them back on like once a week or every 2 weeks. Basically, when you clean the area, you're going to get dust, debris, things like that. I'm pretty clean, so I'm constantly like sweeping things up, but it still doesn't matter. I mean, this thing is a little dusty. You will get ashes around here, and this will suck them in. So people complain about the fans not lasting long. Well, that might be some of it. So make sure that you are, if you're not using a filter box like myself, to actually just put some type of filter on that. When the fans kick on, of course, the suction, here we go, the suction will hold these in. See how I pulled that in? So, well, that's about it. I wanted to just do this review, letting you guys know that for about $1,000 to $300, and then if you wait around, you can get a 10% off at, like say, Tractor Supply or other places. Wait for a deal. You can get $100 off that. So, worth its weight in gold if you're paying for propane. It might even be worth you putting a chimney system in. My neighbor's got, he ended up putting something like this in, and he just basically knocked a hole in his basement on the side and just put in a galvanized steel chimney situation and set up, and it works great. And he heats his house too. And basically, propane, it's the biggest ripoff I've ever seen in my life. So I tend to like to spend my money on things that are important, and propane's not one of them. Well, anyway, one last thing. When you do install this, you could install it in the main. I've seen people install it, or you can install it in the return duct. A lot of people do that, and what they do is they let the hot air go in the return duct, and their temperature control that runs their house, they can set their fan to run like every 10-15 minutes in different intervals, and it takes that hot air and basically pulls it and blows it through the house with some gusto, which is fine. But it's a lot of HVAC guys that I pinged online. They're like, don't do that, that'll damage your fans, it's not meant to run in reverse. So I just did it this way, the normal way that the manual says. It works fine. Works great for me and my house, my situation, my setup. So again, wanted to go over some practical stuff about this because I didn't see a whole lot, and I hope this helps. Anyway, Technolocost out.